Thanks again for taking the time out to speak with me. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you.
Karen. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
thank you for having us.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about the development of the documentary. What interested you both in making the film, and what was that experience like of really getting the project
Yeah, so I actually was not a huge fan of documentaries about 8 years ago when Melissa and I started dating. And she slowly broke me down and convinced me that I should start watching documentaries. And she was always in love with them and wanted to make them. And about 4 years ago or so, 5 years ago maybe, was fully convinced that a documentary is something that I wanted to help make. And I was actually in the Amazon working on another project, and I randomly stumbled upon Harry and Samantha in a hotel room, or sorry, a hotel lobby, and I learned about a little bit about their backstory, a little bit about the work that they were doing, and then a few days after that, I had the opportunity to meet them, and they brought with them a hard drive, and when they plugged that hard drive into my computer, they brought up all of this extraordinary footage that they had filmed together of their time building Samantha's nonprofit Oja Nueva, which does extraordinary conservation work. And they also showed me a bunch of footage of them rehabilitating orphaned wildlife that was taken from the wild for the illegal pet trade. And I was just shocked at how incredible the cinematography was. And I was also really moved by the fact that they kept recording in difficult moments when most people would stop recording. And so I knew immediately when I saw that archive that there was a film to be made. And that was when I called Melissa on a satellite phone actually and told her, hey, we've got a film on our hands. So it was all very much sort of a happy accident, a cosmic thing, if you will.
together? And also speaking about working with Samantha and Harry, I also just spoke with them and wanted to ask you about getting to work with them on the film as well, and your collaboration and really figuring out the best way to tell the stories.
Yeah. From the beginning, when Trevor met them and saw that archive, it was clear that they had an incredible ability to film themselves and also their work with the wildlife. And so when we saw that footage, it was striking, and we felt, this is something that we can really embrace and collaborate on. And so from the beginning, it was a deep collaboration. They were creative partners, in many ways, and we saw this opportunity to follow this second cat, Keanu, in real time, because we weren't able to film him ourselves because of their reintroduction protocol. We didn't have access to Keanu, and so working with them was critical to film those moments, specifically, with the cat that we couldn't film, and many of the moments, even within their relationship or with themselves, that we weren't therefore we did 13 trips to the Amazon, but there's of course many 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 weeks that we weren't there, and so it was a deeply collaborative process.
And also, like you mentioned about the cinematography for the early footage, and for this film in particular, I like the contrast in the way you shot in the Amazon, and then going back to like the regular day to day life in the city. And what was that experience like? Just really figuring out how you wanted to visually film the movie as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. That's actually the first time someone's asked us about that, and it was a very deliberate decision. A friend of ours who was helping us early on with the film and giving us advice. It was actually something that she brought up. I think it was something that was probably circulating in our heads, but we hadn't really thought about it. And that was to film very differently in society than we filmed in the forest. So when we were filming in the rainforest, we weren't using tripods very often. We Everything was much more sort of raw, if you will. And then when we were filming in England, we filmed everything on tripods, so that everything was very stable and composed and sterile, because we wanted to show the difference between living in society and living in the wild. And that was important to us to show how Harry and Samantha both felt sort of at home in the wild and not so much at home in society.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you both again for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
having us.
You're welcome. Thanks again.